The morning I opened my workshop door and saw what lay pressed into the sawdust, my knees nearly gave out. I had to grab the frame of that old barn door. My father hung it in 1962 just to stay standing. 43 years of working wood, 43 Alberta winters and prairie summers, and I had never felt a cold like that. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you still wakes me up at night, even now, 2 years later. My name is Walter. I'm 67, a retired pipe fitter. I spent 31 years up near Fort McMurray before coming back to the quarter section outside Red Deer. My wife Margaret passed in the autumn of 2021 breast cancer, fast and merciless. After she was gone, the only thing that kept me steady was the workshop behind the bungalow. I built it with my own hands the summer we moved here in '89. 60 acres, a creek out back, and a stand of black walnut my father planted after the war. I'd let those trees grow, thinking one day I'd build something that mattered, something my daughter Caroline could pass down. Caroline is 38. Married 6 years to a man named Trevor. I never trusted Trevor. He was the kind of man who always had an angle, always a deal, always something he wanted to pitch at the dinner table. Margaret tried to like him for Caroline's sake. Me, I kept watch. Everything started with something small. A Tuesday in late October. I was in town picking up a new set of chisels I'd been saving for proper ones. At the register, there was an older woman ahead of me. 80, maybe. Kerchief tied under her chin. She had a tin of stain, some sandpaper, and a brass hinge. She was counting coins. Hands shaking, counting them again. And then she said, "Quiet as anything. I'm $12 short. I can leave the hinge." I stepped forward before I thought about it. "Put it all together," I told the cashier. "I'll cover hers." She turned to me then, and I'll tell you straight, the look on her face wasn't simple gratitude. It was something sharper, like she was measuring me. "What's your name?" she asked. "Walter Bergstrom," I said. She repeated it slowly. Then we walked out together. At my truck, she grabbed my forearm. Strong grip, stronger than it had any right to be. "Listen carefully," she said, voice low now. "When your daughter's husband comes to your shop this week, and he will, you let him take whatever he asks for. Don't argue. Don't question him." I stared at her. "But after he leaves," she said, tightening her grip, "do not sweep the sawdust. Not that night. Wait until morning." It didn't make sense. None of it did. I figured she was confused. I went home and forgot about it. Until Thursday. Around 3 in the afternoon, I heard a diesel engine coming up the lane. I looked out the window, and there it was. Trevor's black Ram, flatbed trailer behind it. He stepped out with another man I didn't recognize. Big, heavy-set hoodie pulled up. Trevor smiled like nothing was wrong. "Walter, hey," tried calling. "My phone's on," I said. "What do you need?" He glanced at the other man, then back at me. "Got a buddy building a custom place in Canmore. He's looking for reclaimed black walnut. High-end stuff. I told him about your trees. Thought I'd grab a couple logs as a sample." A sample. He had a trailer. And help. And that old woman's voice was right there in my head. "You will let him take whatever he asks for." So I nodded. Told him where the chainsaw was. Warned him about the fence by the creek. He didn't expect it to be that easy. I could see it. They drove out back. 20 minutes later, the chainsaw started. Ran for a long time. When they came back, the trailer was loaded. 3 big walnut logs, each one worth more than his truck. He waved like we were still family. Then he pulled up right beside the workshop. "Mind if we grab some food?" he asked. "Long drive back." "Help yourself," I said. While they were in the house, I stood in the workshop doorway and watched through the kitchen window. His friend ate. Trevor didn't. Trevor walked down the hall, toward the spare room, where I kept my filing cabinet. He was in there 4 minutes. Came back out. Ate quick. Left. Something felt wrong. Deeply wrong. I checked the cabinet that night. Nothing obvious missing, but I couldn't shake it. Then I remembered the woman. "Do not sweep the sawdust." That floor was covered in fresh sawdust from the day's work. My instinct, 40 years of it, was to clean it. I didn't. I turned off the lights, locked the shop, went inside. Didn't sleep. At first light, I went back out with a flashlight. And there they were. Footprints. 2 sets. One was Trevor's boots. I recognized the tread. The other was smaller. running shoes. They led from the side door to the back corner, to an old steamer trunk that had belonged to my grandfather. It had been moved, just a few inches, but enough to leave a clean outline on the floor. I opened it. Inside, under old blankets, was a black duffel bag. I unzipped it. 4 bricks of white powder, wrapped tight, a scale, small baggies, and an envelope stuffed with cash. 20,000 easy. I sat down right there on the concrete. It all came together in one piece. Trevor wasn't just stealing wood. He was setting me up. Drugs in my workshop. A forged will in the cabinet. Next step, call the authorities, or claim I was losing my mind. Either way, I lose everything. Land, house, my name. And he walks away clean. Except for one thing. I hadn't swept the floor. The footprints were still there. Proof he'd been inside. Proof he wasn't alone. Proof the stash wasn't mine. I took pictures of everything. The prints, the bag, the trunk, the saw cuts out back. Then I checked the filing cabinet again. This time I saw it. My will had been replaced. Same format, same layout, forged signature at the bottom. Left everything to Trevor and Caroline. Named him executor. It was planned. Carefully. I drove into Red Deer and went straight to my lawyer, Gordon. Old friend. He drew up the original will. He took one look and said, "Don't say a word to anyone. Let me handle this." While I was waiting, something started nagging at me. That woman. I had his receptionist look up old Bergstrom records. One name came up. Ingrid Bergstrom, my grandfather's younger sister. I'd never met her. I drove out to Rocky Mountain House that afternoon. When she opened the door, those same pale gray eyes met mine. "Come in, Walter," she said. "I've been expecting you." Over tea, she told me everything. Back in 1974, her son had done the same thing. Convinced her and her husband to sign over their farm, sold it, left them with nothing. Her husband died the next winter. She had spent 50 years watching for it to happen again. "I saw Trevor in the hardware store," she said, "buying rat poison, duct tape, cable ties, asking about you." She memorized his plate, looked up my name, planned to come warn me. Instead, I paid for her hinge. "I couldn't save my own husband," she said, "but I could save you." I went to the RCMP that night, gave them everything. They told me to act normal. It took 11 days. On the 12th, they arrested Trevor outside his office in Calgary. They found the rest in a storage unit. Cocaine, some of it cut with fentanyl, forgery, fraud, trafficking, and attempted murder. He had a plan written out. Poison me over Christmas. Make it look like a heart attack. His friend was caught at the border trying to run. Caroline came home the next day. She was pregnant, broken. She cried at the kitchen table, and I held her like I did when she was little. She moved back in. My grandson was born that January. We named him Oscar. He's 2 now. Comes out to the shop with me every afternoon. Sits on a little stool I built him and watches me work. I'm building him a blanket chest. From the Walnut Trevor tried to steal. Caroline divorced him. He took a plea deal. He'll be gone a long time. We don't talk about him much. Some things you leave behind. Ingrid passed away last summer. She left me a letter. Said seeing Oscar in my arms was the happiest she'd been in 50 years. She wrote something I think about often. God is slow, she said, but not blind, and sometimes he uses an old woman with $12 of missing change to answer a prayer you didn't know you were praying. I almost walked past her that day. Almost minded my own business. Almost swept that floor, and I would have lost everything. So I'll leave you with this. Be kind to the stranger in front of you. You don't know what they've seen. You don't know what they're trying to warn you about. And if someone ever grabs your arm and tells you something that doesn't make sense, you listen. Because sometimes the smallest moment is the only thing standing between you and losing everything you love.